the disclaimer, this role play is for class assignments and is not a real counseling session. So last time we talked about a lot of issues that you had and stuff like that.
Right.
How's everything been going? What's going on with life right now?
I'm just going to school and work.
How's school going? School's going okay? Is it kind of stressful? Kind of.
So stressful, and plus I'm supposed to do this like volunteer thing I haven't quite done yet.
What type of volunteer thing is it?
I'm required to either volunteer for a religious organization or for a charitable one. I just haven't had time to see.
Now that volunteer stuff, is that something that you have to do, or is it something
It's actually required.
it's required?
Yeah.
So when are you planning on being able to do
I
that?
took a few days off, so I'm hoping to do that. Because I have to write a paper on it.
Okay, so the volunteer kind of stuff is kind of like it's based on your school performance and is based on, I guess, the criteria that you have to do for your class.
It's actually a practicum, and so it's like an internship. It's technically like an internship.
Okay.
But I have to volunteer somewhere and then write a paper. They don't even, apparently they don't check if you volunteer, but I do have to write a paper about it.
Okay.
So.
What about work? How's work going? Is it just about the same that you've been doing, or is it kind of stressful? Or
It's stressful in a different way. There's some kind of management power play going on with this, and it seems to be trickling down to the lower ranking employees.
now, last time you mentioned work. It's basically at the same level that you've been at, like as far as stress level wise, right?
No, it's kind of a little more stressful because of the power play. Two of the managers are, I guess they're kind of fighting it out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The department that we're in is kind of in the middle of the fight, so they're going back and forth.
So how's that affecting you?
Well, we're gonna quit more now, but also it's just I don't handle stress well. I have like a panic disorder usually because I can't deal with stress. So I haven't been sleeping as well, and I guess my temper hasn't been as well.
Now, when you're talking about your panic disorder, because you had mentioned that last time that we had talked, does that affect a lot of things, like your stress level, anxiety, and stuff like that? Does it all kind of like come together and stuff?
Yeah.
Does that affect a lot of areas in your life?
It used to. It's gotten better now. Now it's more of like I don't sleep well. I actually hate. Like I almost kind of fear going to sleep because I wake up because I've woken up a few times in a panic attack. And panic attacks are very different. Like when you have a panic attack during the day, it's a lot easier to handle in a way. But when you wake up in full panic, it's hard.
It's like a nightmare.
It's hard.
Does these panic disorder, stress, anxiety that you kind of deal with, does that affect like your personal life? Does it affect like relationships that you have?
Well, yeah, because I don't really want to put that on anyone else, and so I just kind of avoid relationships.
Okay. When you're saying you're avoiding relationships, what specifically are you referring to? Are you meaning more in a sexual, intimate way, or is it just like in a regular interaction with people, or what areas specifically are you talking about?
Like, I don't want to get involved with anybody on a deeper basis, like a true relationship, right? I bring a lot of baggage into that. I bring in the panic disorder, and I have other stuff going on, right? And that other stuff is actually causing changes as well. So it's a lot of stuff to bring in into a relationship.
Right, exactly.
So I just kind of avoid that. And with sex, I don't know. I don't avoid it, but I don't like search out for it either, I guess, so much.
Well, I understand. I sympathize with not bringing a lot of baggage to relationships because initially when you're in a relationship, everybody has their own things that they bring to the table, whether it's a good or a bad thing. Is it something that you feel like your partner can't deal with, or the person that you're involved with, or is it something that you're just like they're just gonna like kind of run for the hills? Or,
yeah, probably that one.
Or where they're not as sympathetic and understanding to the situation that you're in, or what you bring to the table.
I think right now I'm just in a place where I don't feel like I'm bringing much to the table.
In what ways? In what meaning?
My panic is very bad, and it's bad enough to where I'm kind of like I'm living with family right now, just because not because of any financial situation, because because I could financially live on my own. I just don't want to deal with panic on my own. And so that, like, if I can't overcome that kind of fear of being of dealing with panic on my own, that's kind of I kind of want to deal with that.
Okay. Now we had talked about some other issues in the last session, but I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about some of the other issues that were brought to our attention. Health-wise, how are you doing? Like health-wise,
Kind of okay.
kind of okay. I mean, not to add in the panic disorder, stress, anxiety, but like health-wise, how are you feeling? Like health-wise?
Most days okay. I have a little bit of a heart issue.
Okay.
But
Like a murmur or fibrillation or something like that?
I have a QVC.
Okay.
So that's kind of worrisome sometimes because I can feel it at night, which also adds to the panic. But I mean, I've been to a cardiologist, and he told me it's nothing serious enough for them to medicate.
Right.
He had told me to stay away from caffeine and try to distress. So
Now we had talked about some other issues that are concerning to me. How has like some of the family, when they used to talk about sex like that, how was that? Was that like something that was brought up when you were growing up? Like not really training, but maybe like sex ed in high school, or is it something you just learned from friends and stuff like that? What were some of the issues that you kind of had to deal with as you were growing up concerning like family sexual training? Like, was it just like understood, or you just knew this is what you're supposed to do, or was it a book? Did you read up on it, or what was like your formal training? When was that?
my mom was my full training. So she didn't necessarily hide like that she had sex. So I got an idea of what was going on at a very young age.
Okay. Like how young?
Probably before I was in kindergarten. Because I remember her and one of her first husband and wife. I faintly remember something happening between them when I was in the room, and it was weird because like I was really young and had like these little snapshots of like stuff happening. So probably by the time I was like 6, 7, or 8, I was fairly had a good idea of what was going on with sex.
So like your training was necessarily just like not. It was first of all, it was at a young age, but at the same time, it was like just like I'm watching it, and like how did that? You think something like that has shaped you as far as what you think sex is?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Well, I also did some reading though as a teenager.
Well, I mean,
But yeah,
no, I mean, obviously everyone's not going to know just by observing, but at the
Yeah.
same time, maybe doing some reading, doing some type of formal education, or just looking stuff up,
or porn. Yeah, no, but yeah, I did.
Well, pornography sometimes kind of gives a different glimpse of
Yes,
what
it does.
it's not really a
It's fictionalized.
fictionalized sexual gratification, obviously, but it's also that's not what sex really is. It's just something for people to.
I was more like when I was a teenager, I read a lot of erotica, so I guess it's erotic literature.
Okay.
But also I read some how-tos, which is it's weird. But yeah, no, I'm sure it does. It gave me a weird idea of sex. Cause
Did you feel like it was wrong? Did you feel like being in that situation is like this is probably not normal because most people don't have.
well, no, because when you're a kid, you think that way. So I mean, it was normal until I found out it wasn't.
So you felt like it was just like routine or habit forming in a sense to where you felt like okay that's what people do, but people should do that in the privacy of their own home without having someone as young as you are at that time to be around.
Well, I think that doesn't come about until you're older and you get the society ideals. Because in some societies,
That's norm.
It isn't. It's just in our society. It's not. And so, in our society, yeah, it's very weird. And if you grow up with a kind of message that you don't that's supposed to be in the private realm, then if it wasn't for you, well then yeah, you're kind of.
Would you have a different view of sex or sex education or sex training if that wasn't a part of your life? Bearing everything else that has happened in your life, whether it's a good or bad situations and circumstances, would not being able to be exposed to sex so early or seeing it so early, would you have a different opinion of it?
Probably, yeah, because I'm like, hypersexualized in a way. Because I see sex as a like an emotional outlet in a way. Even if I can't connect to somebody, it's still my way of like. I see sex as a way to keep people away from me. I guess it's like because I know I had that emotional disconnect.
So there's no emotional connection with people when you're having sex. It's just sex. It's just an act. It's like doing a job.
Yeah. So once it's my way of disconnecting. I would actually probably be better in a relationship and have a better relationship if sex isn't like forefront to it.
Like number 4 or 5 on the chain of importance,
Yeah.
like commitment, intimacy, communication, stuff like that. Is probably like way down the line.
Right. But the quickest way to actually get me to like emotionally separate from you is to bring up sex first.
Like initially.
So.
What about some of the other things? Was there any type of religion that was based off of sex or religious type of thinking? Was that had religion have anything to do with how you viewed sex and how you interpret it?
I think religion has a lot to do with how I view myself.
Now or back then?
Both. I always knew that I wasn't like other people, right? So, religion definitely kind of stemmed grew a bit of self-doubt and self-hatred.
Or what you felt, whatever religion you were, how you felt like that's how they viewed sex, or that's how I'm going to view sex, or this is how they view sex, but I don't necessarily agree with what they're saying.
Oh yeah. Well, some religions use sex as very, I don't know, they're weird. But I'm much more free in how I view sex. So, I mean, growing up, if you grow up Baptist, it's more of a curative view of sex. So, I don't agree with it.
Do you think that shaped you to where how you are back then and how you are today? Your religious teaching, what you've been brought up, what you know, not necessarily what you've been brought up, but what you know and what you believe, because that's 2 different things.
I think probably more as I was younger. As I grew older and got more education, it's had less of a hold.
Do you feel like you're pretty religious?
I feel like I'm more spiritual than religious.
You feel you believe in God?
Yeah.
How has there been any type of sexual abuse that's happened in your family, and how did you kind of cope with that? Because that was another issue we had talked about last time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know for sure if I was sexually abused.
Right.
It was just her thing. I mean, it would make sense if I was. I guess some of the stuff I.
Do you think that people who have that stuff, maybe that they've seen stuff, maybe they get sexualized at an early age, or they've seen that type of abuse and they feel like that's the norm or that's accepted behavior? Like it just kind of goes with in a generational type of thing, you know, it's like, oh, I was abused here, then I'm just gonna abuse my kid or something like that.
I mean, I think that's always. I don't know about sexual abuse. I think there's a sexual aggression that's done that comes in, right? And so that's part of my battle too. That intimacy is just not being overly sexual aggressive.
What about your previous sexual experiences? Would you rate them as something that's good, positive? About it?
Most times, yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, most times they were fine.
Most of the time, like, so you wouldn't necessarily, on an average, they would be pretty good, like, the experiences that you've had.
Yes, but they're also fairly one-sided. I really am not a receiver so much as I'm more of a giver, I guess. So it's more of me pleasing the other person than.
Why is that? Why do you feel like you have to please someone else in that aspect, in a sexual way? Or is it something that you've always felt? Or is it something that you feel like you need to do? Or is it something that you have some other type of underlying issues about that?
Most likely just because I don't like to be touched a lot. So it's just easier for me to please them.
Where does that touching stem from? Like not wanting to be touched, is that like more of a personal thing or sensory thing where you just don't like being touched, or you've never felt that way, or you've always felt that way, or?
It's probably just a trust thing. I I don't like being touched. I don't like being vulnerable with people, and so
So your vulnerability gets compromised when you put yourself out there.
yes.
And you had mentioned, which we'll follow up, about some maybe sexual problems that you've possibly had, um, intimacy issues. Can you explain that when some of the intimacy issues that you've had before?
I really just mainly just I tend to disconnect with people, or don't connect at all with people
Emotionally, or
emotionally. Yeah, I don't. It's very hard for me to like. You know how people like they connect with people and they have like close bonded relationships, right? And they really like feel in depth about someone. I just can't seem to get that in depth.
is that more of a desire or like a want, or is it something that you feel that's on your end, or is it something that they're doing wrong?
I'm sure it's me. Like, I've talked to people and they're like, maybe you just haven't met the right person. But I don't really believe that.
Is there a arousal or an orgasm type of issue in there too as well?
Well, yeah, I can't really orgasm with other people. So, I just,
What about the arousal? Like, is it sometimes where it's just more like, since you don't like to be touched, how's that arousal become an issue in relationships as far as on an intimate level?
well, pleasing them actually arouses me. So
Okay.
that's fine. It's just getting to like completion or orgasm. It just doesn't happen.
Okay. Why? How long has that been? How long has that taken place, or how long has that been an issue? Has that always been one?
That's always been an issue.
What are some ways that you've kind of had to deal with it or cope with it?
I really just don't get in relationships anymore. That'd be no way of dealing
Have
with it.
maybe you? I mean, I would suggest this. I mean, maybe some type of connection with people that you're in a relationship with, to find out what your needs and wants are. Maybe some type of breathing exercises. Maybe some type of medication. Maybe some type of meditation. Well, both of them, medication and meditation, that can maybe help you get to that state to where it would help you with your intimacy issues. Is that something that you've looked into? Is that something that you would want to look into, or?
Meditation, yeah, it's just a hard time quieting my mind, which is just about discipline. And I actually need to probably work on that more. It would help with the panic as well. I don't ever sit down and like really, because true meditation actually takes quite a bit of discipline.
So, but we had talked about earlier in the session that we had, that stress and anxiety that you have from time to time. Does that ever kind of come inside with your intimacy issues while situations are happening? Does that come into a play to why you can't be intimate because you have stress and anxiety that leads to why you can't be intimate with somebody?
Sometimes having sex is stressful.
In what way? Like, meaning like,
It's more of a body response, and so like the way panic works is it's stupid. Your mind like reacts to your body's stressors, right? So if your heart rate goes up, sometimes the mind will click and you'll panic. And it's just why like people with panic disorders sometimes they can't exercise and stuff like that with
Right.
sudden panic attack. Well, sex and space is kind of a form of exercise, right?
it's a form of like,
your heart rate's gonna go up. You're right, and so there have been moments when like my panic has like kind of been iffy, like in the middle, and that's annoying. And so then I'd have to like stop and take a break, which I mean, it's horrible because like the panic would ruin such like
a moment or a time that
right,
you're having.
ruin like the
Right.
simplest of moments, and I've gotten better to like dealing with. Actually, I usually medicate if I'm. I'll take like half a Xanax or something to calm myself down.
So you're on some medication that kind of helps you with being able to deal with it, not just on the regular daily activities you have, but also possibly in intimate settings and sexual experiences that you have too.
Yeah, but it's kind of sucky like because Xanax also like dulls your responses a bit.
Right, exactly.
It relaxes. So I mean, I'd like to not have to do that. It's just right now it's kind of what I've been doing instead of dealing with the stress and the panic.
We But I would recommend, I mean, one of the things that I would try to recommend is possibly, if you're doing meditation, probably do it some more, especially being able to um, help with the intimacy issues when you're with somebody. I would also probably recommend like some type of breathing exercises and just like really communicating with the partner that you have to figure out what you guys are really looking forward to. Is it more of just a sexual type of thing, or is it more you're trying to emotionally connect with somebody? I feel like being able to communicate with the partner that you have would be able to help you find a good balance between, you know, not going out, not, you know, breaking some of the barriers that you have, at the same time being able to let go a little bit if possible. I mean, I know it's a work in progress, but I feel that if you probably use those keys, I think those would help you. What do you think about that?
I think you're probably right, but I actually don't go looking for relationships anymore. So, um, I think I've come to the point where I'm kind of accepted the fact that I can be okay on my own and not be in a relationship. Um, and that's okay.
And you feel like you'd be okay alone and not with somebody.
Yeah.
You feel content with that.
For the moment, yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that on our next session, and I appreciate you coming by.
Alright.
Thank you.